Let's dive back into Raj and Andrea's love story. I'm Sonia. Susie glanced between them, her smile growing as she took in the scene. Goodbye, she said playfully. I fell in love with your country. Maybe you can find me a husband so I can move to India too. Raj chuckled softly, but his gaze remained on Andrea. I'll see what I can do, he replied, but his voice was heavy with the weight of the moment. Andrea was still in shock as she got out of the car, her mind reeling from the intensity of their goodbye. As they made their way inside the airport, Susie couldn't contain her curiosity any longer. Okay, spill it, Susie said with a grin. I know you two kissed. Tell me everything. Andrea's face flushed with emotion as she smiled shyly. It just happened. 1 minute we were saying goodbye, and the next, he kissed me. Susie's grin widened, her eyes sparkling with excitement. I knew it. So, how was it? Did it feel like one of those epic movie kisses? Andrea laughed, though her heart was still aching. It was amazing. But also, it makes leaving so much harder. Susie's expression softened, and she wrapped an arm around Andrea's shoulders. I know it's tough, but you're doing the right thing. You need time to figure this out, and so does he. But hey, if that kiss is any indication, I'd say there's definitely something worth waiting for. Andrea nodded, a small smile playing on her lips as she thought back to the kiss. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. As they made their way through the airport, Andrea couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in days, she felt a glimmer of hope that they might find their way back to each other, no matter the distance, no matter the time. As Andrea settled into her seat on the plane, she felt a heavy weight in her chest. The last few days had been a whirlwind of emotions, and now, as the plane prepared for takeoff, the reality of leaving Raj behind began to sink in. She glanced out the window, watching as the bustling activity on the tarmac faded into the background. Her thoughts were consumed by the memory of their passionate kiss, a moment that had left her both elated and heartbroken. Just as she was about to turn off her phone, it buzzed in her hand. Surprised, she looked down and saw a message from Raj. Her heart skipped a beat as she opened it. I will miss you even more now after our kiss. A wave of emotions washed over Andrea as she read the words. She could almost hear Raj's voice, filled with the same longing she felt. The kiss had been a turning point, a moment that solidified the connection between them despite the uncertainty of their future. She hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to say. Her mind raced with thoughts of everything that had happened, their first meeting, the intensity of their feelings, and now, this bittersweet goodbye. Finally, she typed out a reply, keeping it simple but sincere. Me too. She hit send, feeling a mix of sadness and hope as she did. The message seemed so small compared to the enormity of what she was feeling, but it was all she could manage in the moment. She knew that Raj would understand, that he would feel the same way. As she put her phone away and fastened her seatbelt, Andrea closed her eyes, letting the memories of the past few days wash over her. She could still feel Raj's arms around her, the warmth of his lips on hers. It was a memory she would hold on to, a reminder that, no matter what happened next, they had shared something real. The plane's engines roared to life, and Andrea felt a sense of finality as they began to taxi down the runway. She knew this wasn't the end, just a pause in their story. But as the plane lifted off the ground, leaving the city below, she couldn't help but feel a pang of longing for the man she had left behind. As the plane climbed higher into the sky, Andrea took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions inside her. She knew she had made the right decision to return home, to give herself time to think. But even as she resolved to take things one step at a time, she couldn't deny the pull she felt toward Raj, the hope that someday they might find their way back to each other. For now, all she could do was wait, and hope that the connection they had forged would be strong enough to withstand the distance and the time apart. There's no way I'd miss the next chapters of this story for anything. It's only getting more exciting from here. To be continued.